What is going on, guys? Poketism here, back with another market update video. If you like the content, consider dropping a like, maybe even a comment saying SpaghettiOs, and to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I also want to introduce a new segment called the Based and Beta Comments of the Day. So today we have our based comment from Ashley saying SpaghettiOs, a very based comment, really appreciate that. And then we have our beta comment of the day from Chen saying, "This is why I'm blocking this channel." Thank you for the engagement, Chen. Here's the world's smallest violin for you. And I guess we won't be seeing you again. But thanks for the engagement. We really appreciate it. So if you're a hater or an enjoyer, drop your comments below. Maybe you'll be in the next based and beta comment of the day. So today I want to go over 151, kind of check on its progress and see how it's been performing here in the market and what we can potentially expect as time goes on, at least in the next couple months. So across the board, things have been kind of cooling off with the exception of a few cards like the Zapdos. Looking into the Zapdos, this card has still kind of leveled off at its highs here, and it's staying there strong, which just goes to show that people do not think that the Zapdos is undervalued. So before we hop into some singles and look at the charts here, let's take a look at the sealed product. So taking a look at 151, the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box still going strong. Now keep in mind that this item is not going to be as liquid as some of the other items that do not cost as much as this. Not everybody has $1,500 to throw around. If we take a look at the most recent sales as of yesterday, we have 1450. Then the day before, a few sales at 1450, 1425, 1445. So back about a month ago, we were sitting at about $900 a box, and we've had about a 40% gain, which is quite significant. So if you're a holder of the 151 Pokemon Center Elite Trainer Box, congratulations to you. If you are on the same page as me here, I'm not selling this guy anytime soon. We're going to let him ride off into the future as 151 officially rotates out. Now, taking a look here at the 151 Booster Bundle, I am honestly still impressed that this is still working its way up. This thing has been outperforming my expectations, and it's just absolutely crazy. We got 50% growth in 1 month. We zoom out 3 months, 90% growth, and market price is about $182 a booster bundle. Just crazy. And keep in mind these prices and the time frame that this booster bundle is going to be rolling out soon, because I am going to refer to this later on in the video as to why I think there's some options out there that are great buys right now. So if we look at recent sales as of today, 185. So I believe that would be an all-time high. I don't see any sales higher than that on the chart. The charts haven't even updated with those prices yet, which is expected. Also, there's a low volume spike here, but it's because, March 14th is happening right now. So we are not sure, where the volume is going to continue, if people are still going to be picking it up at this price. Yesterday, 15 sold at 180. The day before, 32 sold at 180. So as of a couple days ago, or I guess the 13th, the volume was 1/3 of what it was the day before. Sorry, 1/2 the day it was the. Oh, geez. Poketism is tired. It's half of the sales that happened the day before. So that might indicate to us a slowdown in volume. And then when the people who are trying to offload these try to sell them, then they're going to start undercutting each other just to capitalize on the profits on their position. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a correction, but booster bundles of 151 are a strong product, and I have no doubt in the future that this will do really well. There just might be a little bit of a consolidation period happening before it continues. Now, jumping into the Charizard here, we are cooling off, which was kind of expected. we had definitely had some sales about $500. If we take a look at the most recent sales, we got today 2 sold at 430. The day before, we had one at 528. Hopefully that one had pictures, because I wouldn't be spending that much on a card that doesn't show me pictures. And another sale yesterday at 456. So as I was kind of predicting or expecting, that huge climb up that we had, not sustainable. No, no, no. So what we are going to do now is, for any of you out there who trade or are involved in the traditional stock market or crypto, you know, we don't have enough volume to really kind of lock in technical analysis on this sort of thing, but we can still observe the charts and make some assumptions. So when we run up here and then we start consolidating downwards like this, this is what's known as a bull flag, which is typically a bullish indicator in the market. So if we continue consolidating here for maybe like a couple weeks or a month, and then we see some growth into April as the set officially rolls out, I would not be surprised if these cards do potentially go on another tear once the set officially rolls out of rotation in April. So this is a kind of a bull flag or a bullish indicator, but with how expensive this card is, it's hard to say if this is a valid indicator or just purely speculation. Well, Pokemon in general is just purely speculation, but I digress. It's fun to kind of speculate. Don't think I pretend like I'm a guru and know everything that I'm talking about. I just like speculating and talking about market movements. So, it's a good time. And Alakazam here, similar sort of pattern, except we don't see as much choppy movement as we did with the Charizard, which makes sense because right now this is a $87 to $90 card, whereas the Charizard can fluctuate between that 500 and 450 range right now. So, but similar, we're consolidating here, not too insane volume spikes here. We had those volume spikes of purchases in the run up, and now it seems like people are leveling off here with the volume of purchases, which means we could slowly consolidate downwards and also have a potential bull flag run into the set officially rotating out. And Dragonair, which is an illustration rare that I'm happy to finally see getting some love. This was like a $25 to $30 card for the longest time, and it pretty much doubled in price, which is very cool. But we're kind of seeing a little bit of a different behavior here. So from what I've seen, the most recent sales as of yesterday was one of the highest sales for this card at $54.99, which we can't quite see here on the chart. But the Dragonair is doing a little bit of catching up, I think, with some of the other illustration rares, because I was expecting that same sort of bull flag movement, the consolidation down here over the first couple weeks of March. But we'd had a little dip, and then we're getting bought back up. Although from here in this huge spike that we had, we are slowly trending down with volume. So we'll have to see over the next couple of weeks if the Dragonair is going to continue to just slowly rise, or as the demand decreases for the current price, then we'll start seeing some movement downwards, similar to these other 151 illustration rares. Now, kind of like the Dragonair, same sort of deal here with the Poliwhirl. Another card that I think was pretty slept on for a while. But, it looks like it's starting to get its appreciation. This was my favorite from the 151 illustration rares. I just think the blues look really clean. So it was about a $25 card towards halfway through last month, so about a month ago. And we have recent sales at 37, 36, 34. If we look at the chart here, we are at its all-time high, I believe. Let's zoom out. Yeah, look at that spike on the 1 year. So let's go back to the 1 month here. same sort of trend here. We're having a decrease in volume, which means sellers are going to start to undercut each other and try to lock in some of these gains that they got from this run up. So don't be surprised if we consolidate downwards, kind of like the other cards we've been discussing. And we will see as time goes on if that tear up does happen in April, or if we just do a little bit of sideways movement for a while and that bull flag indicator ends up not playing out. Oh yeah, well, I already opened up the tab for what I wanted to talk about. So this Prismatic Evolutions Lucario EX box, I was planning on talking about it, but since I was wanting to talk about it, it has moved up quite a bit. So on eBay, I was able to pick up 2 of these at $150 a piece, which I thought was a great deal. I would have my calculator out right now, or you know what? Let's pull up the phone. We're gonna calculate the pack prices here. So if you were able to get this at $150 a box divided by 12 packs, that brings you to a pack price of about $12.50, which at the time, compared to the booster bundles, it was a better pack price for the product. So I figured it was a good pickup. The only problem with these boxes is they are a little bit hard to store. I don't know if we're going to get many reprints like this, kind of like we did with Blooming Waters in Costco. But we'll have to see. If this does get reprinted, keep this on your watch list, because if you can get this below 150, I think it's a good snag, especially as we have been in Prismatic print run life cycle for about a year now, and a lot of popular sets are coming out. Odds are we may not get a lot more Prismatic products in the future. We might still get the Sam's Club bundles with the surprise boxes. Personally, not a fan of that product, but I know a lot of people are. But these sort of premium boxes here, what I'm going to be keeping my eye on. I just am probably not going to be picking up too many of them, just because of storage issues. Okay, here we go. So Prismatic Evolutions Booster Bundle. I know my channel is relatively new, but you're going to hear me beat this box into the ground like crazy, because I still believe that this is undervalued. So when we had the huge run up in 151, the attention to Prismatic had kind of fell off. So we had this big run up in 151 towards the beginning of this month, or the end of February, right? And so everybody's focus was on 151. I feel like some people were selling off their Prismatic items just to buy 151 cards. I don't recommend buying into these massive price swings, because you're going to end up regretting it when it eventually corrects. So as I was selling my slabs to profit off of the 151 swing, I wanted to rotate my money into Prismatic. So we picked up probably about 20 booster bundles over a period of a week or two, anywhere from $62 to $67 a booster bundle. And I really think that this product is going to do very well over time, just because of the PSA gemming, and just from how Evolving Skies has performed in the past. Now, I've only been in the investing space for 3 years, but I've been in the Pokemon hobby probably 15 years now. So I've seen things happen in the market, but I would just crack things open and collect my cards. But if we take a look at Evolving Skies, it was printed so much, it was so available, and look at how it's performing now. I believe Prismatic is going to follow suit, and I will die on that hill. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But even if you can get it below $75 a bundle, I still think that's a great deal. We are, in my opinion, definitely going to overcome this $80 all-time high. It's just a matter of time. There's so many good products being released right now, and Pokemon can't keep up with the print demand, and the demand for Prismatic is always going to be there. It's the most ripped set in Pokemon's entire history. If that isn't enough proof, I don't know what else is. So, anyways, tangent over. Let's look at some sales here on eBay. So we had one sell today for $65 plus $637 shipping. So it's about $70 a booster bundle. You save $5 from the TCG player prices. Let's take a look at the original listing, and it is not one of the Sam's Club bundles. So that's a fantastic deal. Congrats to whoever got that. In my opinion, don't buy the don't buy the booster bundles that have the Sam's Club sticker on it. Let's take a look at these listings here, see if we can find one. This one is another shrink wrapped one. But basically, these surprise boxes here, the prismatic bundle attached, if you were to remove the saran wrap to separate these two boxes, these prismatic bundles have a little sticker on each side that could easily be peeled. Packs could be removed and replaced. I just don't think that those prismatic bundles on their own are going to be very liquid in the future. So if you're paying under market for those booster bundles and it makes you happy, by all means, go for it. But if you want liquidity in the future for these products, I don't believe you're going to get it with those Sam's Club bundles. Another thing that I've been picking up that I think is quite underappreciated is the Black Bolt booster bundle. If we take a look here at the 1 month chart, there was a lot of buying volume here. So this is right into the 151 hype. So as I'm saying, when hype is focused on a specific set like 151, other people are looking for good deals in the market in other sets, especially investors. So as people are rolling out of their profits in the 151, they're looking for places to put their money, and Black Bolt is definitely one of them. I believe the set is very underrated in addition to White Flare. Both very underrated sets. The set value is like 2,200 per set roughly. I mean, might even be 2,500. So like overall set value, if we consider Black Bolt and White Flare a complete set, it's about a $5,000 set value. And Gen 5, I don't know about you guys, but Gen 5, one of the best generations. If you grew up playing Pokemon White and Pokemon Black, such good games. And I believe that there's a lot more nostalgia out there for 5th gen than there is 1st gen. I'm old, so 1st gen's very nostalgic to me because I grew up with it. But I feel like a majority of people in the hobby, a lot of Gen Z or tail end of the millennial generation, they grew up with Black Bolt and White Flare. And that generation, as these other generations of people get older and that nostalgia kicks in, they're going to want to crack some of these open. They're going to want to add them to their collection. And at $53 a booster bundle, I think this is great. This specialty set, I'm a huge specialty set fan. Black Bolt and White Flare, specialty sets, they're clearly not as popular right now as Prismatic, Ascended Heroes, a lot of the newer product like Phantasmal Flames, even though Phantasmal Flames is not a specialty set. And I think the odds are of us getting massive reprint waves of these is pretty low. Sure, we're definitely going to be getting some more. I have no doubt in the future that we're going to be getting some more. But, at $52 a bundle, let's see for White Flare, we had one sell at $50, $54, $65, $60. So the price is going down on these over the past day or so. You can get one of these at $50 a booster bundle, which is like $5 more what GameStop would sell it for in their stores. I think the writing's on the wall, guys. I don't know what else to say. Same sort of deal here, $55 a bundle. Black Bolt's a little bit more desirable, so it makes sense that it is carrying a little bit heavier of a price tag. Destined Rivals, I mentioned it in a couple videos ago, but the price per pack for Destined Rivals is very reasonable. And if you can get this at around $55 $5 a booster bundle, I think that is a fantastic deal. Destined Rivals, we know, is behind on reprinting the booster boxes. There are rumors that a booster box reprint is on its way, but I imagine that that product will be eaten up quick and it'll barely affect the market price of the booster box. Potentially, people will collect their profits. Whoever bought it, at market value when they first came out were like $240. They might go, okay, I'm at $500. Let me capitalize on this. There's a big reprint wave. So maybe we get down to $400 a box if we're lucky. Maybe $350 if we're really lucky and there's a big booster box reprint. But all that's just speculation right now. If your goal is, to invest in Pokemon, also take up as little storage space as possible. One of the best sets of Scarlet and Violet era right now, selling at about the same price and less than prismatic booster bundles. $59, $57, $52, $52. Man, if you can get this at $50 a booster bundle or $55 a booster bundle, I don't think you're going to be complaining as we get closer to the end of its life cycle. And then pretty much every video, I'm going to be checking on the Ascended Heroes Elite Trainer box. As you can see, we have been kind of found a bottom here at about $104, $105 an ETB, but there were sales that got to as low as $89.99. And we've had a huge, or our volume spikes have continued to take off here. So we've had 1,200 sell between the 6th and 8th. Almost 700 sold for the 9th through 11th at about anywhere between $94 and $130. And we've had about 521 sell the past couple of days. It's crazy. So many people are entering the hobby or they're hoarding this stuff. It's one of the two, and it's just so cool to see. It's very rare we see moments like this in the Pokemon hobby, so very exciting stuff. And $112 is, getting kind of outside of the range that I would want to pick it up, but at the same time, I am dollar cost averaging into this product, so over time, every couple weeks, I'll be grabbing one. So that way, if we don't get reprints for these for a while after the second wave, or if the second wave's already done, then as it goes up, I'm not going to be beating myself up as much. Dollar cost averaging is always the best way to invest in products. If you like something and you want to put money into it, don't buy it all at the same time. Space it out. The market is unpredictable, and this is how you prevent yourself from putting yourself into a bad situation where you're stuck with a bunch of product. Like scalpers were with Prismatic Evolutions, who sold off a bunch of them for $80, $90 a booster bundle because they thought it was going to zero. So congrats if you got some ETBs at those times when the scalpers were freaking out. And that's why you just don't over leverage yourself. Don't put too much money into this that you aren't willing to lose, because you might end up panic selling all of your stuff and then regretting it later. Also, this isn't an investing channel. It's more or less just talking about Pokemon market movement. But if I'm to give you guys any sort of advice, like, don't let Pokemon be your main source of income. Contribute to your 401k. Do a little bit of brokerage trading, whether that's buying QQQ, SPY. The stock market has consistently performed well over the years, regardless of fluctuations and market crashes. So, Pokemon's the same sort of deal. There's times where Pokemon's very bearish and there's times where it's very bullish. So right now, being probably at peak mania of the hobby, just don't over leverage yourself in buying up a product that you won't be able to have money to do things in your regular life. All right, enough yapping. Thank you for watching today's video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.